once you have a contract with the government, construction-wise, you have a value engineering change proposal clause in the contract that says, typically, that if you have a better way of doing it, that's just as effective, gives us what we want, and it saves money, we'll split the money with you 50-50. Okay? Now, 50-50 on this particular job, remember the contract was $484,000, and what the job was, right over in this area here, and right over in this area here, they had these big heaters. And they had squirrel cages, if you're familiar with that term, 5 horsepower motors that would suck air up through steam heaters, and it would go up through ductwork and then blow down, and they could aim it where they wanted on the aircraft where the guys were working in the wintertime. We're talking Maryland. It gets pretty cold up there. We had 104 of those heaters. I sat down and said, you know, I've put these unit heaters, I don't see any of them in here, but basically a unit heater is where they take a coil, and they wrap it into a circle, and they put a fan in the middle, just a motor with a propeller on it, and they put the steam in the coil, they suck air in and blow the air down. So what if I took those and I just put them sideways? A guy named Ted Reed Thermal, was making those. I said, can you make them so they blow out sideways? He said, sure. So I had him design it, went to the government, and I said, look, I can save us $100,000, eliminate the ductwork, and we'll just put these big round heaters. They're just going to be a motor with a propeller, and it turns out, I did some calculations, we get the same airflow with a propeller on a motor for 1.5 horsepower. What they were doing was a 5 horsepower motor in a squirrel cage going up through a big box and then out through duct and then down like this. And the government said, well, it's the same heat, it's the same airflow, I can't see why that wouldn't be a problem. Sure, we'll split that 50-50 with you. And then I said, now when I read the VECP clause, it also says that if I save you money in other areas, that I can get 20% of that savings. How often do you use these heaters? Well, they run about 4,000 hours a year. And what do you pay for electricity? 6.028 cents per kilowatt at the time. I calculated it out and said, you will save, Mr. Government, you will save $100,000 a year with these 1.5 horsepower motors in these aircraft hangars, just in electricity alone. They gave us $20,000. So what happened was, instead of this going from 484, dropping down 50,000, remember we split the 100,000 savings on the heater, then they added 20,000 back, gave to us, for the money they saved, 20% of the first year electrical savings. So that's a real important thing to know.